Welcome to the BluePrint. This is our first episode of our podcast. We've been talking about doing this with you for a while now.
Hell yeah.
So,
thanks for having me.
absolutely. Let's just hop right into it. We'll talk about your upbringing, what got you into cannabis, kind of transitioning into the branding world. And what's good, though? Introduce yourself, introduce the brand.
Yo, what's up, guys? Prophet Pete here with NYLA Premium. I'm here with Jake from Beast Coast. We got episode 1 about to be in action. Let's get into it.
All right, so tell me a little bit how you got into cannabis. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Rochester, New York. I grew up in the burbs. I was in the burbs. Started at a young age, just literally like running around doing whatever at a young age, hanging out with friends, outside all the time. And then, weed came into the picture, started getting high with my boys, and it was like this new thing.
How old were you the first time you smoked?
From what I can remember, probably like 12 or 13. I was like the start of middle school, like 6th grade, 7th grade, right? Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Just like hanging out with friends. One day I pull up to my boy's house and like we're just like getting high all of a sudden. I was like, all right, where the heck?
It's crazy too, because you look back at you look at middle schoolers now and you think about like you were smoking weed back then.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, these are like little kids. This is crazy.
Yeah, like my siblings and stuff. I'm like, damn, I was like getting high at that age.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I hope they're not over here getting high. But
What made you want to start selling it?
I was young, hanging out with friends all the time. We always wanted to buy weed. We didn't really have money like that. We were like getting like allowance from our parents and, whatever money we could scrape up, like whatever, literally like doing small jobs or painting, like whoever, just any way to get some money just to go buy some weed, like young.
So did somebody come to you and be like, bro, I got this like ounce. Do you want to try and flip it? Or did you seek this out?
Nah, what kind of happened was I was like, like when I didn't have money, like I started like selling my stuff to like get money to buy weed. Like I got in trouble once for like selling like my Nintendo Wii, and like my mom was like ready to kick my ass, and I was like, yo, I can't keep like selling shit to go buy weed like this, if it's just bad, like I can't do that. So I'm like, damn, I'm gonna start like, I'm always around people who wanna, smoke and they want weed, and I'm friends with everybody, so I'm like, I'm gonna just start having the weed. And like it wasn't even like to make money or nothing at first. It was literally just because like I wanted to smoke for free.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like that's how a lot of people got into it.
Yeah, so I'm like, I remember getting like ounces of like Reggie, and like I'm just bagging it up, trying to make like that $100 back, and just like, smoke like a quarter for free. I'm like smaller dimes than they probably should have been, like before school, after school, just like linking up with homies. Like it was just like convenient for people. Like you didn't have to go. Back in the day, it's hard to find weed, so it's like, it's just easy. Like, I just had it before school, after school. I'm, like, hanging out, smoking. Like, people are, cool with giving me money, and I'm just, like, at that point, I'm just, like, smoking for free, hanging out with the homies. Like, I just kept rotating and, doing whatever. And then it definitely, like, as I started getting older, like, the same thing, just kind of like me, maybe to like a bigger scale, like, maybe like I was like, shit, I could like start making some money off this, like putting away, like I'm starting to get older, 15, 16, 17, wanting to do more stuff or whatever the case was. So that's kind of like how it started off, and then it just kind of like gradually started, like it was just, by the time I'm like 18, I'm graduating high school, I got my own crib, like.
How much packs were you moving then?
Things definitely like grew bigger like towards the end of high school, like after graduation, like there was homies that I knew that were like flipping packs, or like I'm meeting people and they're like, yo, like I can get you these pounds, or and people are like, it just started more connections, more networking, and I knew people that had stuff, and I knew people who wanted stuff, so it just became one of those games where I'm like, someone's looking out, giving me the stuff, and I'm
were
just
you
making
taking
money
stuff
off
like,
it.
were you getting stuff fronted to you at that time?
Yeah, there's definitely points where I was getting stuff fronted. I remember like in high school, like, like there was this one like older kid, he like fronted me like my first quarter pound. Like I remember that for sure. Like, it was, like, started from, like, you know, just getting, like, ounces and flipping the ounces. And then someone's fronting me a quarter pound. And, you know, it's just, like, moving up from there.
Yeah. Were you ever in, like, a position when you were younger and didn't have, like, the money where, like, you took a loss or something and then you owed the plug, like, and had to figure out how to pay him back?
This shit comes with losses. So, like, there's definitely numerous losses that happen, you know, with what was going on. Rather, like, someone broke into my house, they took all my weed, they took all my money, or, like, you know, you got all these jack boys. You know, I'm a small kid back in the day, so, like, you know, to see a person like me, you know, having weed, you know, like, definitely people were trying to take advantage of me. Like, I got people robbing me for eighths and stuff, like zips, all types of, you know, definitely had to deal with that. That happens for sure, but you learn from it and, you know, start moving differently after stuff like that happens, for sure.
I feel like those types of situations are kind of like the shit that either makes or breaks you in this game.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know for me, when I was younger in high school, I would try and, like, sell weed and stuff. And I was getting robbed, like, left and right. Eventually, I just threw in the towel and was like, fuck this, dude. I'm all set.
Yeah, people start folding when that type of stuff happens.
Yeah.
They get scared, or, you know, they don't want it to get worse than what it was, you know. So definitely, people definitely back off after stuff like that starts happening, or they realize, like, I don't think this is for me.
So when did you start, like, because obviously you're going out to Cali a lot now. I know you got an apartment out there. How did you get into going out there?
So, like, I caught a charge in 2015. Or no, it was 2016. Whatever, my house got robbed. The cops showed up. They found a bunch of weed in my possession in my room. I got charged with criminal possession. The case was, like, took forever to deal with. Like, I had to deal with probation. I had to deal with rehab. Like, started going to school and shit to make it look good in front of the judge. It was just, like, this whole long process that was just, like, kind of, like, stupid.
Yeah.
So, like, that was, like, in between 2016 and 2018, 2019. So, like, I was kind of just, like, you know, I was in New York just doing my thing up here. But as I was going through that, like, all my friends started, like, you know, going out to Cali, experiencing Cali and stuff. And definitely, I think I went out there my first time in, like, 2018, something like that. I think I was actually, like, on probation when it happened. I kind of, like, slowed down for a minute, like, during that whole process, but there was, like, a moment where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you know, like, people are out here making money, like, things are, like, escalating from, like, you know, when I was doing my thing. And I just, like, you know, I got back into the mix, and I was like, I'm not about to miss out on this. Like, this is, you know, all I've ever wanted to do. Like, when I was in high school, like, I remember, like, in English class, I'm, like, talking about, like, cannabis and jobs in cannabis and, like, how I want to be involved in it and just, like, you know, grow in the industry. So, like, it's always been, like, a passion. So back to your question, I started going out to Cali in, like, 2018, 2019. It just started with, like, you know, weekend trips or a couple days at a time. And then I got off probation in 2019, and I was like, yo, I'm moving to LA.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get out there. Like, I need to get my foot in the door. I need to meet more people. And that's what I did. I went out there with two buddies. We had a 3-bedroom apartment. And it was cool.
Were you downtown LA?
I did start off downtown LA.
Nice.
Yeah. Next to all the tweakers and homeless people out there. LA is nothing like it was before. Back in the day, it was actually, like, you know, cool, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. It was nothing like it was after, like, the pandemic and all that stuff started happening. We're kind of, like, all over the place. Like, you know, we were doing our thing. I think this is right. I started my brand in 2019, so that's where NYLA started.
Yeah.
Like, right when I moved out there. NYLA Premium stands for New York to LA, so, like, I just wanted to, like, bring it together because, like, that's, like, kind of what I was about, you know, like, my New York hustle, the LA cannabis culture.
You were, like, one of the pioneers of bringing good weed from Cali to upstate New York.
Yeah, there wasn't that many people doing the branding back in the day, so, like, this was all when, like, runts became, like, a thing, and, like, Jokes Up, Runs, the Backpack Boys, Lemon Cherry Gelato, you know, like, that's that started all of this. So like right when that started, even like Jungle Boys too. Like I was buying a lot of Jungle Boys, and like the resale on the Jungle Boys was like crazy. It was like, you know, you're doubling all your money. So like I started seeing that with the packaging game and runs with the packaging game and just the pricing, like stuff was, you know.
What is this, like 2020?
This is like 2019 still, like 2019 still. Yeah, literally. So like once I started to notice all that, I'm like, you know, it goes from, you know, what I was doing, just being involved in the weed game, and now it's like branding is starting to happen. So it's like they got their brands going, like I'm gonna, you know, start my brand. So like there, before NYLA, I had like 2-3 other brands that like I built and designed, and, you know, like I was pushing those. And
You were doing like clothing at the time?
yeah, I started doing clothing in 2018. I started a brand for one of my friends that passed away. So I was always into like clothing and reselling clothing.
Yeah.
I started NYLA Premium in 2019. I started doing the same with the clothing. So it's always been like a fashion and cannabis type of deal. You know how brands, you know, you got to rep the merch too. So
Yeah. You've always been big into like branding and design and stuff like that. I remember even back in the day, I think you were working at like Zoomies for a little bit.
yeah, I did work at Zoomies. I was a manager over there.
What was your approach to and thought process behind I need to build a brand out of this?
You know, like brands were getting a lot of recognition, so I was like, yo, I need something like, you know, when people are buying my flavors, like I want them to be buying my brand. Like I want my brand to be recognized. Like I want people to post my brand the same way they were doing Runts or Backpack Boys. Like it just, I wanted that. I wanted to be known for what I'm putting out there, and that's what I did. So I started off with direct print bags. I think I printed like 10,000 of them. Like, you know how it is when you just find a design. I ordered like the cheapest price. You got to buy the most. So like it started off with me getting a shitload of bags, and, you know, all my flavors that I was hand picking, everything's going in that bag now. So it's like, you know, my brand's getting out there. I got the Instagram going. Like I'm getting tagged. Like, you know, I just started to build it, and that was all in 2019. There wasn't that many people like in Rochester where we're from. There wasn't many people doing that. Like literally, the only other brand that I know was Rapper's First Choice. Like I remember it literally just being us two, like having our own brands, getting stuff out there,
And because of that, bro, I feel like everybody in Rochester knew what Dunkaroos was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like monumental initially to like the growth of NYLA in the early days.
Yeah, so getting into that, because, you know, we didn't even introduce Dunkaroos to the people. Dunkaroos came around in like 2021, I believe, early 2021. You know, lemon cherry gelato has been a thing for a while. You know, like I said, in 2019, that's like kind of when it started, when they dropped the Runs and, you know, the Backpack Boys lemon cherry. People were just sick of hearing like lemon cherry gelato, lemon cherry gelato. So like one of my homies was like, yo, like this is literally when Dunkaroos started, like the candy like started becoming like popular again. He was like, yo, we gotta do Dunkaroos. Like it's making a comeback. Like everyone's dropping this and that. Like we gotta do Dunkaroos. So I'm like, you know what, you're fucking right. I get it, you know? And that's when it's like I start looking up the packaging, how the Dunkaroos is looking. And I start, you know, I've been working with you guys from the start, like when this was just like a sticker company.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'm talking to Tyler. I'm like, yo, I want to do the Dunkaroos packaging. Like, you know, here's like what I'm looking at. Like, I want to change this. I want to change this. I want to change this. You know, like the first bags we put out, I wasn't like completely happy with them, but like then it just grew from there. Like by the time like my second or third Dunkaroos bag, like it was like perfect, and it hit the streets, and it was everyone loved it. Like it was a staple in Rochester. Like bows are going for like $6,500. This was like during the pandemic. Like everyone's paying $75 an eighth.
Everybody had those unemployment checks.
Everyone had money.
Yeah.
Like it was a great time. That was a great time for sure. And then went from there. Like we're dropping strawberry Dunkaroos, vanilla Dunkaroos, and like you know, different candies are, you know, getting brought into the situation. Yeah, Dunkaroos definitely had a huge staple here. Everyone talks about it, and it was a good time for sure.
Yeah, was there, when you were trying to like actually build the infrastructure of the brand, do you feel like there was any like big obstacles or challenges that?
There's a lot of trial and error with the packaging for sure. Like I definitely like put stuff out where I'm like, you know, like I ran with it, and then like I might have received the packaging and I was like, I don't like this. Like, probably still put it out there. I'm also like a picky person. So it's like some people will be like, this is fire. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like it. Like this is just bothering me about it. Like,
Would you say Dunkaroos was kind of like the turning point for when you started to see like real success with the brand?
I would say so. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely a huge turning point where things like definitely like went up a little bit because there was way more promotion, way more people posting it. Like people loved it. It was different. The weed was super fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say it was a big turning point. Also like opened my eyes to like different lanes or like what I should be working on or what's eye catchy. And, cause like I said before, I was just doing like NYLA bags and like I would write lemon cherry gelato on the bag or like get a lemon cherry gelato sticker. And then like, I just realized like, you gotta like different names, different colors, different things that are like catching people's eye was like huge in the marketing game.
When you started to roll out these different flavors, were you noticing like some people are like everybody's buying this flavor and nobody's buying this flavor? Just like kind of start to notice marketing trends within your drops that maybe like kind of went against what you were assuming?
Yeah, I would say so. Like definitely, like I was saying, like it comes with trial and error. So like, I might have put out something that was and something that looked way better. So it's like people are picking and choosing. And, once you start learning from the things that you like put out that you don't like, or, you'll take those extra steps to make sure that everything's perfect before you put it out.
Mm-hmm. So it's like one thing to build a brand and like have an initial hype wave around you and kind of see success. It's a completely other thing to maintain that relevancy. We kind of been seeing it like the last couple of years. A lot of brands, big brands, have been falling off. Why do you think that's been happening?
I think brands are falling off because, like, it's definitely like a consistency thing. Like, it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
Like, people, they do good for 1 or 2 years, and then, they might have made a lot of money, and they're just like,
It's a full-time job.
yeah, it's
You
a
gotta stay
full-time
on
job.
top
So
of
it's
it.
like, some people aren't staying on top of it. They're just taking the money that they made and doing whatever, and they're like, oh, or maybe just like their wholesale side is picking up, and they don't want to put all the time into like the branding and the packaging. So.
Yeah.
There's definitely 2 lanes for it for sure.
Mm-hmm. What other things do you think of like attributed to the success of NYLA? You do a lot of events, network building, stuff like that.
Events are good for sure.
Yeah.
It's ways to, meet new people. People are coming from different cities. We're traveling to different cities. We're presenting our packaging. We're presenting our, good flower. So it's like events are huge. You're getting in rooms with people that, you might have never got into a room with if you're just sitting at home doing everything behind scenes and just dishing stuff out. So events are huge. The packaging is huge. The designing, having good designers, networking and building relationships with people in different cities, different states, definitely play a huge factor in, what's going on for sure.
Yeah. It seems like as of recently with a lot of the brands, New York especially, there's been a lot of copying of other brands that have success. Do you think that kind of plays into like why these brands are falling off?
Sometimes, because like you gotta think everyone's copying something. Like look at Runs. They copied Runs. It was just the first people who did that, so it's like that they got the most recognition for it. But when it comes down to like even like the Dunkaroos, like I'd say I was like the first one that dropped the Dunkaroo strain. But like there's plenty of other people who have dropped Dunkaroos, however in different ways. So it is what it is. I don't think that people are. I mean, some people are definitely copying. But, like, some brand might have not known that I had Dunkaroos and they, had the same idea because it's all this stuff is out there for people to see and use and recreate just like any brand does, right? Even if it's, like, designer brands, like, they're copying, certain niches or ideas, designs, and just remaking it into their own. That's always been, like, a huge thing.
It seems like a lot of brands are basing their drops and getting inspo from like nostalgia. Why do you think that is?
It's just like eye catchy, like you see things that you used to enjoy or love back in the day, and people are the packaging's so cool, like you see something like for example, Fruit Riot, like, you know, you love the candy, you know, you had the snack before, you love it, and you see this cool packaging, and it's like, oh, blueberry Skittles, NYLA Fruit Riot. It's like, fuck, I gotta try that. Like,
Fruit Riots are gas. Everybody's been like getting them. That was a great drop idea.
yeah. So it comes from stuff like that, and, you know, it's like a vision, you know, you see something, you're like, oh, I could recreate this and, you know, switch this up, and, you know, it works.
Tell me about that drop. You got a collab on that one?
Yeah, this is a collab I did with Loganberry.
Nice.
We did like a 5-flavor drop. We did like blueberry Skittles. This is sour cherries. There's pineapple stunts. I believe we dropped this like a year ago, but it did awesome. You know, it did amazing. The packaging's super cool. You know, it reminds people of the candy. They want to try it, and, you know, we do a really good QC process. So it's like the flour's amazing. You know, you try it once, it's like candy. You want to keep buying it.
Yeah. Did you ever get into like the whole, like, I don't want to say gimmick, but like the whole toy wave?
Toy wave, not really, honestly. I did plushies before for one drop, and we never even ended up doing it. I got like thousands of plushies sitting in my crib that we've never even done anything with. But nah, the most we've done was like the box and bag thing started coming around. Like, we definitely started doing the boxes, because it was almost to the point where like people aren't even taking the drops unless you got boxes. So it's like there's certain things you got to like adapt to, you know, have your stuff move. And, you know, that's like another thing with, you know, back to what we were talking about brands falling off. Everything's like changing and going different ways, and some people aren't, you know, keeping up with it, or they don't want to put the extra step in or spend the extra money and do things that are, you know, a success in the industry. And, you know, some people fall off because of that.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot, I feel like, with the Myron jars. Like, everybody started doing the Myron jars, and they're definitely not a cheap jar. The cheapest you're going to find 100 ml jars, like $3.75.
You don't got to tell me they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're expensive. We do a lot of drops with the Myron jars for sure.
Yeah. But, like, it's funny, too, how, like, at least with us and Beast Coast, so many people slide in our DMs, and they're like, we'll tell them the price on something, and they're like, this is a waste of money. This is a waste of money. I'm like, bro.
It's expensive.
You have to be doing this, though.
Yeah.
This is like what, if you pay $2 an eighth on packaging, or $3, even $5 an eighth on packaging, and you can't sell that product for an extra $10 compared to if you were to sell it like in a Ziploc bag or something, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be buying packaging, and you should maybe learn a little bit more about branding. But it's an investment.
And you got a lot of people who are, you know, they're more invested in the packaging than they are the flour. Like, the flour's trash, but they're putting $5 into an eighth of packaging, like you're saying, and it's so cool where people want to buy it, but then it's like they're bringing it home, and the flour is just not it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the packaging is used to sell shitty flour sometimes.
Do you feel like those people are giving the whole branding side of things a bad reputation?
I think so. But, you know, people are going to do whatever they want. Like, there's probably people, or there's not probably, like, there's definitely people putting stack packs into Myron jars, you know? Like, Myron jars, you know, you would think they're, like, more for, like, exclusive, better quality flour. But, you know, people love to ruin the game and bring everything down. So it's going to happen, you know? And that's where, like, brands stick out, I would say, and, you know, keep themselves relevant. With doing things the right way. So
you got the drops. Do you think staying consistent has been like kind of hard?
100%. I would say that. You know, there's been times where like I'll go hard in the beginning of the year, and, you know, like the end of the year, I just kind of like, you know, I get too comfortable. I got a lot of stuff going on. You know, we gotta remember to like live our lives too, with everything that's going on. So I definitely say, you know, consistency is key. You know, definitely, you know, there's sometimes you fall off, but, you know, as long as you can get back on track and, you know, don't go MIA and let people forget about you, or, you know, just stop doing drops. You know, like some people taking off for like a couple months or like close to a year, like sometimes they don't get back into it. So.
And then you lose that momentum that you kind of had going.
Yeah.
So you had NYLA Premium, which is like your staple brand, your main brand, and then you also pumped out another brand with Pally. you guys got Gomitas. What kind of inspired that?
It was just like a moment where, different brands and different ideas, and like I wanted another brand that people would take, and just more options, and kind of like doing the same thing just with another brand and just doing more volume. Like NYLA, if you had 4 flavors, that's one thing, but then if you got a whole nother brand that's 3 or 4 flavors, like people would take all of it, because it's huge where like people want as many flavors as they can get, and different cool packaging, and so I just wanted to like put something together and put more options out there, and something different.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I noticed with like some of the bigger brands. A lot of them, they all just swap packs with each other, and they're carrying each other's products, and that helps them sell their own brand so much more, and other people's brand. But it just kind of ties into the reputation, because when you do carry other brands, maybe somebody they don't know too much about yours, and they know about the other brand, they want to buy that, then they get introduced to your brand.
Yeah, I'd say like, building relationships with other people and other brands is huge. Like when one person supports the other, you might have, access or, certain lanes in different cities, and, same thing for the other person. So it's like you guys use each other's network and, build each other's brand up and get it into more people's hands. Like, I'm helping someone out, they're helping me out. And
yeah, we have so many new brands that come to us to get like a pound's worth of packaging or something like that. And they'll ask us for tips on how to grow. And the first thing that we always tell them is like, find a homie, get them doing the same thing, build your own networks, and then do collabs with each other, because he can go, you might have a small brand that has like 50 customers that are regulars, and then another small brand that are 50 customers that are regulars. You guys do a collab together. Now your homie's brand is getting exposed to your 50 people, and you're getting exposed to their 50 people. It's kind of like a fast track to growing.
Yeah, and it's, it's all about marketing. So, you want to market your stuff to new people, new faces, you want new consumers always checking out the brand. And, now you got like, like there's people reviewing things, and there's new stuff every year. There's new things going on. So it's like, just keep pushing stuff out, and networking with people, and putting dope ideas, dope packaging out there. Obviously, good quality flour. And that's the tips right there. Those are most important things, I would say.
Do you feel like packaging kind of like brings customers in at first, and then the quality of the flour on the inside is what retains them?
Yeah, for sure. Like, people see things, and like I said, like the fruit rye, like people see this and be like, I got to get my hands on that. This looks cool. Like NYLA Premium, they doing a collab. And, like I said, the quality of flour is going to, keep the people around. So it's like, if the quality's horrible, like they're not going to want to try they're not going to want to try the next fruit ride or the next thing, or be like, I had their brand. Flavors. It was trash. So, good quality flour is definitely going to keep people around and keep your brand talked about, and, give yourself motion.
If for some reason NYLA Gomitas gets wiped off the face of the planet and you had to start over from scratch, is there anything that you're doing differently in your approach?
I would just, if things fell off, I would, take things that have got me this far, and I'd do it all over again. Same cool ideas, cool brand name, cool packaging, colors, good quality flour, good marketing, doing events, all that type of stuff. I think if I had to start over, like, I know what I have to do, and I would go super hard with it and, build myself back up.
Yeah. We probably have a lot of new brands or guys who are thinking about getting into the industry watching this right now. If you had advice for them, what would it be?
Consistency. Don't rush things. Whatever you're going to put out, make sure it's all around complete, good ideas, and, make sure your marketing game's on point. Make sure you're a good people's person, because it's all about building these relationships and, keeping things alive and just sticking with the program.
Yeah. What do you got going on this year? You got any events planned? Or?
We're definitely doing some events. 420's coming up. We're going to be in LA at the be easy.
Yeah,
Bringing
I've
back.
been seeing that everywhere. We're thinking about going out to it.
Yeah, it should be a good event. Bringing 420 back to Los Angeles. I've been in New York City for the previous 420s. You guys were out there with us, I think, for almost all of them.
Washington Square
right?
Park
Yeah.
gets crazy, bro.
Yeah, New York City's been nuts for 420. They definitely are working harder to shut it down. The last year definitely wasn't the first 2 years at all. But there's always different events going on. New York City's huge. You can't.
You got the Billies.
Yeah, you got the Billy Awards. You got just New York City in general. They go hard with everything. So it's there's gonna be events. Everyone's gonna be out there for New York City still.
Yeah.
But people have been doing 420 in LA the previous years. It's just now a lot of the big brands are going back to LA. So
the West Coast brands.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be a shift in that, but I think there's going to be a good turnout on both sides for sure.
Yeah, I agree. New York City gets hectic, bro. It's something out there on 420. What are you gonna do? Olympics, anything like that?
They've been reaching out to me for Olympics. I do want to do it. They switched up the dates this year. It's right before my birthday actually. So I've been debating it. I definitely do want to do it. You might see us there, you might not.
Yeah.
But as far as events in general, whatever comes up, if we can make it happen, we're gonna do that and continue to, build things, meet more people, showcase our brand, heavy promo, heavy marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you got planned for this year on a personal level? I know you've been traveling a lot. What do you got going on?
I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm really trying to get back into I don't know. I want to experience the world. I want to do way more stuff. I've been working hard the past couple years. I've been stationed in LA, stationed here in New York. A lot of back and forth. I want to just experience new stuff, but I want to, obviously I got to keep
different cultures.
Obviously I got to keep, things in line with my brand, planning out drops, making sure my team can handle things while I'm gone. And yeah, lots of traveling, networking, more events, all the same stuff, just trying to do more, meet more people, really be outside and, live life at the same time, while I'm, focusing on my brain and stuff and not just just sitting there. Obviously you got to work hard, but it's you can work hard.
You have to have the breaks though. You got to take time for yourself or else you'll get burnt out, and it makes it way harder to stay consistent when your brain's just going 24/7 and
for sure
you start to not hate it, but
you got to live your life too. Time's flying these days, so it's you gotta do what you love at the same time. Obviously, business is most important, so keeping business going and enjoying your life at the same time and keeping things, it's balance.
Right on. All right, we're going to play a little game. I'm going to spit out a bunch of words. You have to rank them from 1 to 7, from the most important to the least important. The most important, obviously, being number 1.
Okay, cool.
First off, branding and packaging.
Branding and packaging is super important in this game. I'd put that at I'd put that at 3 on the charts.
Good plugs.
Good plugs. Obviously, that's, huge in this game. There's definitely things that are more important than that. I'd put that rate at a 4.
Your network.
Your network is your net worth. It's very, very, very important. If you can't network with people and, get your brand out there and, do some expanding, you're not going to get nowhere in this game. I feel like I'd put network at, I want to say 1. Number 1.
Events
are huge in this game as well. Not every brand is doing events. I'd put that at 5.
Consistency
is key. I'm gonna put that at number 2. Have to stay consistent.
Social media.
See, now it's getting hard. So I got 6 and 7 left. So yeah, I'd put social media at a 6. It's definitely super important.
Collab drops.
That's a good one to leave for 7. Collab drops, they help out. They're good. It's a way to work with other people. But I wouldn't say it's most important. You can have your quality flower, doing events, marketing, social media, all that. We're gonna leave that at 7. I think that's a good one to end with.
Sounds good. What else? You got any drops coming up you want everybody to know about?
Yeah, we got some small batch drops coming up. We got Pink Zertles coming out soon. It's a collab with NYLA and Gomitas. We have small batch drop for Gomitas dropping soon, 4 different flavors. And I got some unique things coming for NYLA Premium. The next couple months, we're gonna start rolling those out. We're revamping a couple things. We're sticking with the box and bag, and our next drop is gonna be fire for sure.
I look forward to seeing it. If people want to find you, where do they do so?
You could find us on Instagram at NYLA Premium LLC and at gomitas.official.
Fire. Well, thanks for hopping on, bro.
Thanks for having me, brother. Thank you for having me on the first episode, getting things going. I appreciate it.